Evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining again. We are here again. We are here again. What we are seeing in the UK children's social care. Today, we'll be talking about Durham case study. So please call your loved one. Let them know we are starting now. We've started. We are live now. Let them know 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 we are live now. Let your loved one knows we are started now. We have started now. Let them know we have started now. Let your loved one knows we have started now. Please invite your loved one, invite your loved ones, invite your loved ones, invite your loved ones. We have started now. Invite your loved one, invite your loved one. We have started now. Invite your loved one. UK social care, that's what we'll be talking about today. Case study of Durham, case study of Durham, case study of Durham. Durham, United Kingdom. That's where we are today. We are live now. Invite your loved one. Invite your loved one. Invite your loved one. We don't want anyone to miss out. We don't want anyone to miss out, especially anyone that have children school age. Please let them know school age children, parents to be. Tell them we are live now. Tell them we are live now. We don't want anyone to miss out. You've seen the series we have covered so far. So please go and invite your loved one now. Invite them now. Invite them now. Invite them now. Invite them now. Don't let anyone miss out. It's about enlightening. It's about educating ourselves. It's about educating ourselves. Please, 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 please let them know we are live now. We are live now. We are live now. We are live now. Let them know. Let them know. Invite your loved one. What is happening in UK children's social care? You can see majority of local authority, they are bankrupt now. Yes, they are running into debt, but still, they are still asking for more money because of referral. So, but how many of these referral are really, really genuine? How many are malicious referral? We need to start talking about this now. We need to start talking about it now. How many of these referral are not real? How many of them are not genuine? We need to talk about it. And you can see we are making impact. We are making impact, and our work has been recognized across the United Kingdom, even at international level. So please let everybody know we are live now. We will be bringing our guest for today, Durham case study. Durham case study. That's what we'll be talking about today. Durham case study. Don't go anywhere. Please get yourself a comfortable chair because our organization, Save the Woman, we are not only supporting parents to be, but we educate them as well on UK child protection and safeguarding matter, especially UK law, regulations, and providing them new parenting techniques and perspective, alternative paths, so that our children and our family will live in a happy home. Our home is safe for our children. We don't want our children to be in care system. Over 63% of safeguarding referral received are from school. They are from school. And whenever a child displayed a behavior in school, that was where the situation starts. For instance, they give a child maybe amber, red, and that child begin to start shivering, gets worried, and they will sit the child down, pamper the child. They'll start asking the child, will your parents be cross if they know that you had red? That's where it will start from. Oh, they will be very angry. Really? Okay, tell me more, tell me more. Who else live at home with you? If who is going to be angry, your dad or your mom? That is where the conversation starts. And before you know, some leading question will start be asking. So we don't want that. We don't want us to fall into that again. And in fact, there are parents now, when there's a referral to social care, there's a disclosure, and they invite them to school. Instead of them to calm down, look for help, they will start giving out too much when they are not even asking them any question. So if you find yourself in this situation, you need to calm down. You need to do what? You need to calm down. Please leave your comments. Leave your comments. If you want us to talk about your local authority, your local area. Let us know. It is by vote now. Any local authority that has the highest number, that is what we are going to go for. You see, we've talked about Bournemouth, we've talked about Darlington, we've talked about Rochdale, we've talked about Sheffield, we started with Middlesbrough. So today we are talking about Durham. So without wasting much of your time, I'm going to invite our guest to start a kind of brief introduction, because it is only when it happens to you you get to know this. There are family that are telling you that, oh, it can never happen. Who born them where? Why person go take my children? Please, it can happen to anybody. English councils need £4 billion to prevent widespread bankruptcy, MP says. You can see. And not only that, lawyers raise alarm at struggle to tackle UK local government council expenditure, corruption, public fund. This is a public fund, and many families will be paying higher tax now. The tax will be increasing now. Some of the local services will be cut short. And there's a report that says social worker, their hands are tied. However, their option is to go to court. So we are providing this support now, a kind of early intervention support, so that we will prevent and minimize number of children that needs to go to care or child protection, safeguarding concern. So without wasting much of our time, let me bring on our guest for today. Hello, madam, are you there? Unmute yourself. Durham case study, that's where we are talking today. So I
Hiya.
know, yeah, thank you very much for being courageous to come on live today. I know many families are waiting to hear from you, because we need to come together as a community,
Yes.
especially migrant community that you are thinking of, you know, living alone. Please, you can't sustain alone. You need a community. Without wasting much of our time, we just want to hear from you. How was your experience with Durham Children's Social Care?
Um, oh, that's my little baby there. So I first just like to say that I want to give all glory to our Maker, the God of the Bible, Yahuwah, and I'm very grateful to be here. And so my experience with Durham Council has been that of a very hostile, toxic, and just overbearing, hostile, toxic, and overbearing, unwilling to hear, very willing to, very negative, wanting to overpower and take over people's lives. And that's been my experience. And I've yeah, it's been a very trying time as a result of these things. And as you said, I think it's so important that people arm themselves, equip themselves with knowledge, and they know what kind of system we're in. Because I didn't think that this what's happened would ever happen to me or to our family. And so it's so important that we equip ourselves with knowledge and community as well. The importance of community, agreement, and support. It's un is it's just it is needed. It's needed. We can't be an island. We have to have support. We have to have people praying, people who can come and stand in the gap and be there for us. And organizations like Save the Woman are doing that.
So if you are yet to subscribe, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with your loved one. And if you want to register for our courses, please look at the comments. Please click on the comment and make sure you register to be empowered. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'd like to say that our story or this journey began when we first moved to Durham. So upon arriving in Durham, so I'll say that the person who lived in the house that we currently lived in Durham, she and her family, she packed up her family and moved out the day before we moved in, and she left all her stuff and just left. And so the day we moved into Durham, we put our stuff in. We're like, what kind of person just leaves all their stuff and runs away? And so the next day, I had a knock on the door, and it was a social worker. And I was just like, who are you? She was like, oh, she was holding presents. It was Christmas time. And she was holding presents, and she was like, oh, I've come with presents for your children. I was like, you can't be talking about my children because I've just moved here yesterday. And then she was just like, oh, she hasn't told us she's moved. And she was talking about the woman who had previously left there. So that happened when I literally the second day when I moved in, and I didn't think anything of it. So um, fast forward to last year, I was pregnant. I gave birth to my youngest son. I gave birth to him in June. And so he was born. He's a happy, strong boy. I mean, he's wonderful in every regard. Um, but he wasn't gaining weight as much as they would like. I mean, in every other respect, he's a normal baby, just not as big as they would like. And so I went to see a doctor. I had a health visitor come in, and she would weigh him. And then she was like, "Oh, we want you to go see a doctor at the GP." I was like, "Fine." So we went to the GP, and there was a lovely Asian man, and he was just like, some because of how black people are, some black people their babies don't grow like how is expected. And I was like, "Thank you," because he's breastfed like my other two children. I was like, "Thank you. This is confirming to me. This is what I needed to hear." And so yeah. And so I left that meeting and I was happy. And then come they weigh him again and they're like, oh, it's not enough, you have to go hospital. So I went to the hospital and you know, the doctor, and this is the same doctor that I've dealt with throughout this whole situation. The doctor was like, "You must comply. You have to listen to everything I'm telling you right at this moment." And I was like, "You know what? We're parents, we're individuals. We've had a doctor tell us that our baby is fine. He just over time he'll go at his own pace." And he was like, "No, you must comply." And I remember hearing those words and thinking, this can't be right. You can't just say, I must comply because you say something. And me and my husband were like, you know what? We're gonna go home. You can call us back and we can converse. And he was unwilling, and they made a social services referral. And he said so many malicious things on that on his referral. He said wicked things, very wicked things. And so that was when we first had that's when we had our first ever interaction with social services. We had them calling and then arriving at the door saying that, they've had multiple referrals and they need to investigate, open a section 47. And this was the point where I was directed by a wonderful sister in a very wonderful sister. And I still thank her to this day. We were directed to save the woman. And in fact, actually, it's funny because they were supposed to have a strategy meeting, and this was before I'd met Save the Woman. This is before I told really anyone what was going on. And I remember they said they were going to hold it at a specific time of the day. And I remember I went on my knees and I prayed, and I was like, this meeting cannot go ahead because I don't know what's going on. Things felt like they were just completely going over our heads, just barreling forward. And I prayed, and then I remember like 20 minutes after praying on my knees, I remember I got a call, and the woman was like, "Oh, the meetings has to be cancelled. We changed it to next a few days from now." And I remember within those few days that they had pushed the meeting forward to, that's when I got in contact with Save the Woman. And so I spoke to them about what's been happening and what's going on, and how my son is perfectly normal baby. This is my third, and he's a perfectly normal baby, but they're concerned about his weight. We're happy to work with them, but we don't want to be forced to do things under threat of social services. And so they came into the house, they saw the home. Obviously, my elder two children are very, very smart, very lovely. They saw the home. There's books everywhere. We pour into our children. They are our they are our legacy. We give them everything they need. And so they came in and they saw the house, and it was um it was very stressful, because they come in, it's like someone just kicking down your door and saying, you have to prove to us that you're okay. You have to prove to us now. And they're just like, who are you? Some of them are not even don't even have children. The main social worker that's dealt with me and my children, me and my family. She doesn't have children, and so she's coming in telling you what is right, what you have to do, and she doesn't even have children of her own. And so that happened, and my son was still gaining weight. He's always been gaining weight, just not at the rate that they want. But as far as I'm concerned, they don't create life, and my son is strong, walking now even. But doing everything a baby his age should be doing. It's just he wasn't gaining as much weight. And so they opened the case, and I remember we called Brother Olelekon, and he told us, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna see what they do. We're gonna see what they say. And after 2 weeks of the case being opened, they closed the case because we told them we're not going to work with them. We don't consent to working with you. So they closed the case. So then my son, he was gaining weight. I was going to the pediatrician, and mind you, I was still dealing with this very wicked pediatrician. I mean, someone who's on a power trip pediatrician. And I remember it was horrible to be at the whim of someone who will just dangle social services in your face, because I truly believe that in Durham, social services is so heavy handed. They are in everyone's lives, and they are and it's, I think up there it's the norm in Durham. It's the norm to expect social service involvement in a family. So they closed the case, and I'll take my son to get weighed at the hospital and stuff like that. And so I remember we went again. He had gained weight, but not as much as they would like again. And I remember the man said, "I'm gonna that's okay." He said, "I'm going to tell your social worker." And I'm like, "I don't have a social worker. There's no case open for our family. So saying you're going to tell a social worker doesn't make any sense. There's no social worker." And he's like, "No, I'm going to tell her." And I was like, what do you think this is? I'm not a child. We can work together, but you don't need to threaten us. And this is something we've maintained with these professionals. Sorry, this talking. There's something we've maintained with these professionals, is that if you want to work with us, don't threaten us with social services. Don't keep us under threat, because that puts our guard up. We don't want to work with you. You're like, why are you treating us like criminals? And so, he said he was going to call social services. And at this point, everything was boiling up. And I was like, my spirit isn't feeling right. My spirit isn't feeling right. And so I was thinking of ways, what am I gonna do? I started to think, maybe if I go down to my mum's and stay there for a bit, and she can help with my elder too and stuff like that. And so and so I so I'll just do it in the sequence of events. So imagine it was Monday. So on Monday we had a knock on the door, and there was two police officers, and I was just like, me and my husband were like, what do you want? Like, what are you doing in front of our door? Because obviously the social services case had just closed, and now we have police officers at the door. And we're like, "So what do you want?" And they were like, "Oh, someone said your daughter was assaulted. Your eldest daughter was assaulted. And we need to come into your home, and we need to talk to your children by themselves, and we need to see you." And we're just like, what do you mean? Like, so what? Someone who said they were assaulted, what are you talking about? And they were like, "No, we need to see them, we need to see them." We're like, okay. They came in, they looked around, they looked at the children, they recorded my eldest daughter. Obviously she's very articulate. She was just like, I love my parents so much. I mean, this girl, she's such a beautiful spirit. I love my parents so much. I love my family. They left there saying there was no concerns. And so what had happened, so on Monday that happened, and on Tuesday I was supposed to have a appointment for my son. But what I had done is the week prior I had called and rescheduled that appointment, because I knew it was getting too much. I needed more time. I needed a break. I needed support from family. And so I called them to reschedule the appointment for the following week. And so obviously something on their side didn't go through, because the doctor called me, the pediatrician called me and was like, "You missed your appointment today. Why didn't you come to your appointment?" And I was like, "No, no, no. I didn't miss my appointment. I rescheduled it last week." And it was like, "No, you didn't reschedule it. I'm calling social services. I'm telling social services." And I was like, "You need to stop right now. What do you mean you're calling social services because I changed my appointment?" "No, no, you didn't change your appointment. No, you didn't change it." And luckily that morning, a letter had come through the door that had my the changed appointment on it. And I was like, "Look, cut this phone off right now. Send me your email, and I'm going to let you know that I rescheduled this appointment." And I sent him the email, and he was like, "Oh, you did reschedule it." And he was like, "Well, you need to come in straight away." And I was like, "You know what? I can't come in straight away. I'm at my mom's. I'm at my family home." And he was like, "Well, you need to. He was like, "No, no, 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 no. You need to come and see me right now. He needs to be seen by me. He needs to be seen by me." I was like, "You know what? Let me call you back, and then we can have a discussion." And so at that moment, because I knew everything was getting too much. I mean, the police were at the door the day before. Um, a lot was going on at that time, and there was so much pressure because I wanted my child, my youngest, to grow, obviously be healthy, and he is, but I wasn't allowed to. I was being belittled and, stepped on basically. It was heartbreaking. I remember I got off that phone with that pediatrician and I said to my husband, I said, "We are leaving. Me and the children are leaving tonight. We are not staying in here any longer." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Tonight, I am packing our stuff and we are going tonight." And I remember I remember thinking, like, I cannot stay here because obviously it's a bit of a long story, but uh, upon living in Durham and our experience in Durham, it's been one of, a lot of strange things happening. The way people act towards Black people, people like to think, oh, racism is not a thing. It absolutely is a thing. And the way they talk to you is not always overt. They're not always saying, N word or shouting in your face, but the way they interact with you, the biases they have, it's not nice. It's not a way you want to live. And so I remember I told him, "We're leaving tonight. We are going tonight." And so I originally planned to go by my mom's, and my mom wasn't. They all went at the house. My mom wasn't at the house. She had planned for time and was somewhere else. And I remember thinking, so what am I going to do? And this is why everything was planned. Everything worked out by the grace of the Most High Yahuwah, because I had this wonderful sister I'd been talking to. I mean, I met her we started speaking during my pregnancy, and she would, we would pray together, and she was really supporting. I mean, she's such a beautiful sister, and so we had been talking the whole time, and she had told me, oh, she has a spare room that she puts out sometimes. People stay there for a bit, and I remember telling her, that's great. And I remember that night, and she lives in London. And I remember that night I was like, we don't have anywhere to go. I booked a ticket to my mom's place, but I was just like, my mom's not there. I booked a ticket before I even spoke to my mom. So I was like, she's not there. So what am I going to do? And I was like, I'll go to London. And I called this wonderful sister, and I was like, I know you have your spare room, and I know you've been supporting me. Is it okay if me and the children come tonight? And she was like, come. And I'd never met this woman before. Never. I'd never seen her before. We've spoken on the phone, never seen her before. And I arrived at her house at around 11 p.m. with my three children. And I saw her, and I knew in my spirit that she was blessed. I knew she was blessed. I knew she was okay. And I felt safe and comfortable. And so we arrived at her house, and she was just like, you know what? You need to eat. You guys are here. Take some time, get yourself back together, and you can deal with these people with my support, and you can be in my home for the meantime. So I was like, okay. And the pediatrician from Durham, he called me, and he was like, you need to take the baby to a hospital tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I'll take him to a hospital. We went to the hospital, and there was a mix up. So we went the next day again, and he was weighed. The nurse who weighed him, she was like, "Oh, he looks normal. He looks okay." I was like, "Thank you," And so we went home, and so those things happened, and it was just I was in London, and he kind of seemed like he was backing off, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll deal with the pediatricians in London for the meantime. And I wasn't sure exactly when I was going to go back to Durham, but I was like, I'll probably go back to Durham sometime coming up, and we'll re-engage with this stuff, but I needed a break. And so that was okay, that was all fine. And then it was a Thursday, I believe. It was a Thursday night. um Me and the sister, we were actually, I think we were starting to write a complaint about that pediatrician that we were going to give to the NHS. So we were sitting there talking, laughing, writing, whatever. And I got a call from a random number, and I picked it up, and I was just like, oh, hello, who's this? And he said it was about 9 p.m. and he said, "Oh, my name is so and so. I'm a social worker, and I'm here with a few police officers outside your door, and we're about to kick down your door if you don't give us your children right now." And I was like, "Sorry, what on earth are you talking about?" And he was like, "We've gotten a referral from a pediatrician in Durham, and we're going to kick down your door and take your children because he's raised some significant concerns." Okay. It's okay. He's raised some significant concerns. And I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm not, first and foremost, this doctor knows I'm not in Durham, firstly. And secondly, what do you mean you're going to kick down my door? This has never been an emergency situation. We're just this has never been a this has never been a situation where they're severely worried about him. It's more so just monitoring his growth and seeing what pointers we can change to help him grow better." And so and so when I heard that, I was crying, screaming on the phone, saying, "What do you mean? You're about to kick down my door?" And so another advocate that's been helping, because she specializes in health issues with social care. I called her, and I was just like, "This is what I've just received, this is what I've just heard. What should I do?" Because they wanted my location. I was like, "I'm not disclosing exactly where I am right now, because the way you've showed up to Durham, I don't want that to come to my wonderful friend's house." And so and so we me and the advocate spoke, and she was like, "You know what, just present yourself to the hospital. They'll weigh him, they'll check him over, and then we can have a discussion, and then we can see what's going on." Because she wanted to mitigate them. She didn't want them to enforce powers, or she had believed that they had already enforced certain powers to do what they were doing. And so we got on the phone with the social worker, and we told them, "Look, we're going to present at a hospital, and we'll do that before midnight. And we'll have we'll have our youngest weighed and just checked over, and then it can be established that he's okay." So we get to it was a Friday, I believe. It was a Friday. Oh, no, it was a Thursday. So we get to the hospital, and when we get there, we weigh him, and I was just really upset. I mean, I was just so upset because, coming down to London, I didn't expect this to happen. Sorry, I didn't expect this to happen. So we um we went to the hospital, and we got him weighed, and we just like to the nurse, "Does he look okay to you?" We are like, "Does he look okay to you?" And she was like, "Yeah, he looks like a normal baby." And I was like, "That's great, because you know it's okay, it's okay, it's okay." And she was like, "Oh, well, like, that's great." So just 1 second. Um, Well, like, that's great,
Very much.
because the doctor, things that have happened and the way I've been treated by this pediatrician
Ca-
is not
Can
okay.
you can you
I've
just
been
hold
under.
on? Can you just hold on, please?
Yeah,
There's the case you are talking about now. You can see
yeah,
on the screen. Did you see the screen now?
yeah.
That's exactly what happened in one of the research conducted in 2020.
Wow, wow.
Did you read it out?
Sure. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, that's exactly the
Yeah,
case you are
sure.
narrating now. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to bring it out while you were talking about it.
yeah. I mean,
Those
it
of you
doesn't
that are
surprise
on
me.
YouTube, please put a comment if you have experienced any of this kind of a treatment. Let us know. We need to shout out. We need to talk out. We need to let people know what's happening. Many local authorities are now asking for more money from the government now. They were saying there's a lot of increase in number of referral, and most of these
Yeah.
referral are malicious referral, are just referral that were just on prejudiced decision based on the fact that they both want to go by what they believe. Madam, just read that
Yeah,
research quote for us so
yeah,
that to give you that kind of assurance again that you are not
yeah,
alone in this.
yeah. So one participant explained that he and his partner had been deemed by a white health practitioner to be neglectful parents for having an overweight baby. Following this, a black professional assessed the baby and advised that as the parents were tall and of African heritage, the baby was likely to be heavier than the average European child. The couple was cleared of neglect.
Before they were clear of this neglect, do you know what they passed through? If they
I
were not
mean, I
able
can
to
only
get an
imagine.
advocate, and a legal representative that asks for second opinion, they would have just taken these children into care unnecessarily, just based on
Absolutely.
what somebody read by book or what somebody is expecting to be. When you are not part of that family, you don't know what is going on with that family. You cannot even offer help to this family. Go ahead.
Yeah. So so I remember we agreed to meet at the hospital, and so we arrived at the hospital. They checked the baby over, and I remember the police were called, so the police came to the hospital, two wonderful police officers, and I just want to stress that throughout this whole situation, that God has been, Yahuwah has been constantly there. I mean, it has shocked me at times. At times I felt very low and be like, "Where are you, Father? I need you." But at times He has made Himself so clearly there for me, and it brings me to tears sometimes because I truly believe that if me and my children had been at Durham on that day that the police, they sent 10 officers to our house. They sent 10 officers to our house. My husband was arrested. He was put in a jail cell for the night and he's injured at the moment. So, that's even part of why I left Durham as well, because of his injury, there was so much pressure on me now for all the three children, especially trying to get him to gain weight and grow as they had been battering me over the head with. I was just like, this is too much. And it's important as parents, as people, that we can recognize when it's too much. Because I know some of us, we love to just go on autopilot and just keep going. But I knew at that point, I knew it was too much. And I was like, I need to go. I need to go like right now. There wasn't I'll go tomorrow, because tomorrow something else could happen. Next day something else could happen. I needed to leave Durham that day, and I did it. And through the help of a wonderful sister, I didn't even pay for the ticket. It was a wonderful sister that paid for my ticket that day. And so I arrived at the hospital, and the nurse was like, Durham has said all of this and you can't leave the hospital. And I was like, what do you mean I can't leave the hospital? She was like, you have to stay in this hospital. We are not allowed to let you leave this hospital. And I was like, under what power? From how? And she was just like, that's what we've decided. That's what it has to be. And I was just like, wow, wow. And I was so shocked. My other two children were asleep in my friend's house, and luckily we had a wonderful sister. I mean, the people I've met throughout this experience, I shout out to all of them. They know who they are. I'm so thankful for the people who have helped us along the way. I mean, I'm so thankful for them. For my mom, my sisters, my family, everyone, sisters in Yah, brothers in Yah who've supported me throughout this time. I thank you all so much. And the wonderful sister was watching my children while we went to the hospital. It was nighttime. I got to the hospital around 11 p.m. And so they said you can't leave. And I was just like, what about my children? What about my children at home right now? They're like, well, you can't leave. And so these two police officers came in and they were like, well, they've heard a whole bunch of stuff from the Durham people and you can't leave here, unfortunately. But I was like, but what about my children? Like, what am I supposed to do? Sorry. So what am I supposed to do? And they were like, you know what, we'll let you, even that kind of speech will let you go home to your children and say goodbye and then come back. And I was like, you know what, okay. And so I went back to the house. I packed some stuff because I didn't know how long I was gonna be in hospital for. I didn't know what they were gonna do when I got to the hospital. I just knew that I wasn't going to let go of my baby and leave him at the hospital by himself. I was taking my baby in my hand. He was going to be in my hand the whole time. I wasn't going to let go of him. And so we went back home and my children were asleep. And I remember I was just crying and crying, and I was like, "This can't be my life. I'm literally walking away from my children, not knowing. Yeah, their dad was arrested. He was up in Durham, had been arrested. I was in London, being carted off by police escort to the hospital. And I remember when I got there, I was just crying. I was like, this can't be me. Or how did I get here? How did I get to this point?" And so the doctors came round and they were like, you can't leave here until the social services tell us what to do. Durham social services tell us what to do. And I was like, okay. And I told them they were like, tell us what's happened. And I was like, this has happened. This is what I did. I showed them proof of everything I've done. I showed them that I changed the appointment. I showed them that I went to the hospital to get him weighed after the Durham pediatrician had asked me to. I told them everything. And then I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't feel like I've done anything wrong. And the London pediatrician said, you haven't done anything wrong. And I was like, okay. So I stayed in the hospital and so we stayed in the hospital and my husband called me. The police confiscated his phone. They ransacked our house, ransacked the entire home, turned things upside down. I mean, they were looking for our children in the sofa. Just to let you know that they weren't looking for the children. They came there with 4 vans, 10 officers. Ransacking our entire house. And so my husband called me. He was like, oh, I'd been arrested, so what's going on, I'm like, we're in hospital, we're not allowed to leave under threat of police. And like the children are with their grandma. Luckily the grandma was there, and I was like, she's got them for now. She's had to put away everything she's doing to look after them so I can be here. And so I was there altogether for 5 days. And I mean, in that time, I had a nurse and I told her this situation. And she told me that I'm personally going to advocate for you to leave this hospital. And I told her I'm so thankful. All of the nurses, I mean, I would sing for them and I would talk. And I told them what was going on. I was very distressed, but I told them what was going on, and they were like, you shouldn't be here. One nurse was like, my nephew was the same. And I was just like, so what happened to him? What did they do? And they were like, oh, the social worker just said it was fine because he's Asian, and they were just like, it's okay. And I was like, wow, so like, why is the difference? Why is it different up there? And you start to realize it's because we as black people, when we're in amongst these people and when we're amongst them, they treat us so wicked. I mean, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. I don't know if they're conscious they're doing it, or if it's just subconscious. But anyway, this is how they treat us in certain ways, and they have biases, and they treat us like criminals. It's assumed. I mean, why would they send 10 officers to our house to do a welfare check? Why would they send 10 officers? They were going to take our children. They thought that because we're black, we're probably going to put up a fight, and that they're going to have to, apprehend or whatever. I don't know. So we stayed in the hospital for a few days. And the social worker now, the Durham social worker that's been dealing with our family this whole time, she told the doctors, look, don't let them leave. Don't let them leave, because I don't want them to leave the hospital. I want them to stay. And so we called them. We're like, you don't have that kind of power. You don't have the kind of you can't say we cannot leave the hospital. You don't have that kind of power. And so we had my wonderful sisters in Yard. They came to the hospital, and we all rallied together, and we sat down and we called the pediatrician, and we're like, you have done all your investigations, you have assessed him, taken his blood, you have done everything you can, and you cannot find anything wrong with him. One, and you have proven without a shadow of a doubt that he is a healthy developing boy, other than the fact that he's not gaining weight at the pace you would like. Whereas for us, we can see him developing, we can see him growing, and we can see him doing well. And so we spoke to the doctor, and she was just like, fine, we're gonna try and get you out of here as soon as possible. We're going to devise a discharge plan. And we're like, great. And so they discharged us. We had a plan. They told us, oh, maybe try this, try that, and we're like, okay, fine. And so we left the hospital, and the Durham social worker advised us that they're going to be having a child protection meeting, initial child protection meeting. If people don't know what that is, it's basically the first meeting they'll have to decide if they should put your children on a child protection register. So that means they're trying to say that your child is at risk of severe, significant harm as a result of your parenting and as a result of your lifestyle or whatever. And I was devastated. When I read that, I was like, wow. And she said that the local authority, and when she says local authority, she means herself, that she's going to be advising that our children are put on a child protection register. And so I was like, okay, wow. I mean, when we read that, we are like, okay, but we were here thinking, you know what, the facts are against them. It's been proven time and time again that our son is not in an emergency. Our children are not at risk of harm. Our children are happy. They're developed. All it is that we're working out ways to help him gain weight in just a that is suitable to our desires as parents, because oftentimes these people act like you don't have the right as parents. They act like you don't have a choice, when you do have a choice. You can voice your opinions. And oftentimes our people just get beaten down so much because we think we can't say no. We think we can't say, you know what, I don't want that. And so, 2 weeks had gone by, and I went back to the hospital again. This was just because the protection meeting was in 2 weeks. So just before the protection meeting, I believe it was the day before. I went to the hospital, and it was a wonderful pediatrician. And the guy came in and he was like, "So what's the problem here?" And I was just like, well, they're saying that he's not gaining enough weight. And he was like, but he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. I can't see this, I can't see that. So what is the problem here? Tell me, I need to understand what exactly is the problem here. And I told him, you know what, I don't know. I don't know. My son is perfectly normal. He was like, I can see that. He's, you know what he said? He's a perfectly healthy boy. His words, I recorded him. His words, he's a perfectly healthy boy. And I said, I know no one's listening to me. Everyone's just acting like we're crazy. They're acting not just that we're crazy. They're acting like we're neglectful, like we are abusive or something by virtue of just saying, you know what, our son is actually okay. We don't need constant pressure and constant do this, do that, do this. Our son is actually okay. And so um I got the report from the social worker from Durham, and in her report, and I'll quote, she said that she thinks my youngest son is at risk of death. And when I read those words, I was shocked to my core. I'd never just forget her. I'd never heard the word death from anyone. Not in Durham, not in London. I was in hospital for 5 days. 5 days. They analyzed my son every day. They took his bloods, his temperature, not blood, sorry. They took his blood pressure. They did everything every 3 hours. They were monitoring my son every 3 hours. And no one would ever have said he was at risk of death. But this social worker from Durham, she wrote in her report that he's at risk of death. And when I read that, I was so shocked. I mean, it still hurts me till today. It still hurts me to today that she even wrote that. She thought it fit to write that, given the overwhelming evidence that that was never and will never be the case. And so we read that report and we wrote our report. It was a very strong report. We were very, because we were like, where did you get death from? Where did you get at risk of serious harm? In fact, they brought our other two children into it, saying that our other two children, they because of how we homeschool them, that, oh, they're worried that because they're homeschooled, no one's going to know if they need anything, so they need to be on a child protection plan. And we're like, what kind of foolishness is this? And so we went to that meeting. They said we couldn't have an advocate, which is our legal right. They said we couldn't record. They muted us at multiple intervals. They were like, "You, we don't want to hear. Be quiet." They said what they wanted. There was one nurse in that meeting from Durham who had never met me or my children or my family. I'd never spoken to before, and she was going on, and she gave our family a 0. So in these meetings, they have a scale, and 10 is that this family is not at risk of serious harm, and 0 is this child is at risk of significant harm. This child should not be in care of their parents. And this woman gave us a 0. She gave us a 0. And I'm like, who on earth are you? It's just a voice on a screen. It was just a voice on a screen. Who on earth are you to give me a 0? You know? And Durham, they gave a 2. The police gave us a 6. They said that they didn't think the plan needed to be in place. But what the chair of the meeting said? She said, oh, the chair is the person who decides if they're going to be put on the plan. She said, "Oh, they gave a 6, but I don't think they meant to give a 6. I think they meant to give a 4. I think they think you should be on the plan." The London doctors who had been positive, they didn't even give a score. They weren't given a chance to give a score. So on that day, our children were put on a child protection plan, and I remember me and my husband, we finished the meeting, and we just sat down and we're just like, wow, like we have been fighting so hard to prove that, look, this is not necessary. Stop treating us like criminals. Treat us with dignity, treat us with respect, and then we can have a conversation. And for all of them, I mean, it was honestly, it felt like I was sitting at a den of witches. And I know it sounds funny, it may sound like, oh, whatever, but when you're sitting amongst these, and it was all women, and not to say, I mean, there's some wicked men too, but it was all women, and they were sitting there, and it was like they were conniving, they were conjuring evil right before us, and it's just like, at that, it felt like you couldn't do anything. They're gonna decide it regardless. And they'd already decided it didn't matter what we said at that time. They had already decided. They were all in cahoots. They were all together, and on one voice. And so now they put in the protection plan, and I was sitting there, and we were like, okay, so what are we gonna do now? They booked a review, which was just gone. It was supposed to be for the 18th of January. They booked a review. They put this protection plan on the 2nd of November, just gone. And so we were like, okay, so what are we going to do now? We were like, we can't go back to Durham, because if you could take it to the extent of saying at risk of death, we cannot be in your borough. And we were in the London borough of Brent. And you were like, you know what, we'll stay here. You guys have to transfer the case to Brent because we're not in Durham anymore. And so, because of the process of things, Brent was doing the Brent decided to do the child protection visits, because when you're on a child protection plan, social services come and visit your children every week or two, I believe. I believe it's every 10 working days. I believe they have to see your children every 10 working days, and they have to, come and see the family and whatever. And so the Brent social workers came and to my friend's house, because we were still there at the time. And she came, and she was just like, okay, my name is blah blah blah. I'm doing the visits on behalf of, actually no, actually let me go back. When the after the protection plan had been in place, I got a call from a Brent social worker, and she was like, hi, my name is bloody so and so. Um, so we are supposed to be taking over a case from Durham because you are residing in the borough of Brent. So she was like, so as far as I'm aware, have they done this, and that? Did they do this, and that? And I was like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't allow cyber advocate. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. They didn't do this. And she was like, okay, stop there. And she was like, we're not doing anything. We're not having any more conversation until Durham have done the proper procedure. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll wait for you to get back to me. And so she cut off the phone, and later on she told me that it was actually, she refused to do it. She refused to do the visits because she believed that the basis for establishing putting in the protection plan was unjust. And so we had another social worker. So she was like, I'm not gonna look come to a family that doesn't need our involvement. So another social worker came out, and she came and met my children. And my elder two are wonderful. I mean, just they are wonderful children, bright, wonderful. So just one second, there's someone at the door. If you give me 1 second.
If you're on YouTube, please leave comments. If you want us to showcase your local authority, please let us know. And if you have experienced something like this, please let us know which local authority from, especially Durham. In fact, we noticed recently they don't even update their record often. There are a lot of children that have taken from their families, and when family call for the welfare check, they could not find them where they put them. They could not find them on their local authority uh, poster parent they put them in. They were even complicating matter as if the children were still with the parent, whereas they are not. So we are going to show you about 10,000 children are missing in social care
Wow.
in 2020. A couple of years ago. And some of you must have seen video that is going viral now of a boy that ran back home to his mom when what he was being subjected to in social care in fostering home is not what's probably expected.
Yeah.
This is a child that returned back to mom. She doesn't
Mm.
want to be kind of, exposed to those harm in care any longer. But the police that they sent to the house, you could not imagine the number of police. I think
Yeah, I mean,
they restrain the mom as well. So
yeah, I mean,
this is the child that go back to the mom. But what about those children that are missing, that don't even know, because some of them have been transported in a long distance, very far away from where they are living. And majority of them are missing schools now. The rate of exclusion, the rate of absentee attendance has gone down, drop. It's alarming. We need more support to families. We don't want this care system that will be profiting out of mystery. Go ahead, madam.
yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, so we had the social worker come and she saw the children, and I was just saying my children, my elder two children, I mean, they are beautiful children, absolutely beautiful. And you know, the social worker in some of her notes, she wrote that my children are the most articulate children she's ever met. For a social worker to say that. And so they came and did the visits. I was still taking my son to the hospital. He was gaining weight, he's just been gaining weight, doing as he should, as a baby you would expect of his age to do. And so and so and this initial social worker that called me that refused to um carry out the visits because she believed it was unjust. She called me and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna come out and I'm going to see your family and I'm going to see if what Durham are saying are true, because Durham are trying to paint this picture. Durham are trying to paint this picture, and we can't see it. We as London Social Care, we cannot see this picture they're trying to paint. And so she was like, you know what? She was like, she came in and she was just like, okay, I see food, I see the children happy. My daughter, she went up to her, she was like, oh, you're so beautiful. I love your hair. She was like, thank you so much. She was like, oh, I would love to have, I mean, just my daughter talks like, I mean, she's a bundle of joy. I mean, genuinely. And so, she took me to the kitchen and she was just like, okay. So, because I was just like, you know what, the review of this protection plan is coming up and we want this case to close. So, what are the inhibitions? What is stopping this case from closing? And she was like, as far as Brent is concerned, we have no concerns. We have absolutely no safeguarding concerns at all for your family, and we never have. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, we can't even take your case because we think it is so bogus. We cannot we do not believe it is needed so much that we won't even take it. And I was just like, okay, so what's happened? So what's going to happen? What do you mean? And she was like, because of our concerns that we can't see anything, we asked for Durham Social Care for a meeting. So Durham Social Services and London Social Services, not London, Brent in London, sorry. They met up and they were like, let's have a meeting and you tell us your concerns. Brent was like, tell us your concerns, explain it to us so we can actually understand. So Durham lied to Brent and was like, you know what? Durham lied. They were like, oh, they don't feed the children. They don't feed the children. The police were called to them in London, and so you guys should be concerned about that. And they were like, really? Police were called to us? I mean, she was just. They were like, okay, okay, we'll take that. Anything else? And they were like, oh, no, no, just the police were called because one of the children was shouting they were hungry, and so yeah, they you should be worried about that. And so the social worker, she was telling me, so this is what they said at the meeting. I was like, police were called here in London. I was like, that's never happened. And she was like, yeah, because I thought that wouldn't be possible. Because if a police are called about children in London, social services will be notified. And I was like, I think you're thinking about, I think she was telling you about when we went Durham and the police came, like I told you guys, the day before I left, the police came and they were like, oh, assault. Apparently, because my daughter loves snacks, and we told her you can't have your snack, and she was shouting, "I'm hungry! I'm hungry!" Someone called the police. Someone called the police on a young black family because their daughter was shouting, "I'm hungry." But so I was like, that's never happened in London. Like police have never been called in London, and so she was like, "Wow!" So someone is obviously lying here. And I was like, okay, cool. And so she was like, look, I've seen your children. I was just literally, I was coming in with food because Durham were like, oh, the children are not fed. And our children had a medical assessment, all of them. They had a medical assessment. The doctors had no concerns. They did not ask for anything. They did not say you need to do anything. They said the children are appropriate dressed well, clean, happy, lovely,
Madam,
kind, all of
madam,
those things. Yes.
I'm not sure whether there's the one that is echoing here. What's echoing here? So what I want to check with you, even
Yeah.
if there are kind of malicious reports and they tend to want to take the children into care, and the local authority are crying out now that they are in debt, they are bankrupting. Do you know how much it costs to look after one child per week in care? Have you heard about the figure before?
I mean, I think I've come
Okay,
across it, but please
I'm
refresh my
I'm
memory.
going to I'm going to share with you now because I want people watching us from YouTube to not just watch alone, to please come together as a community to share this, to kind of let's have public discussion around this because if it costs 63,000 pounds per week per child, or some local authorities say they spend 83,000 pounds per week per child, on
Wow.
what are they spending this on? And what proportion can they even give to family that will support family?
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to share the screen before, but I don't know what's happening with this. And I'm not sure whether everybody on YouTube are hearing us. Please, if you are hearing us, leave a comment. Let's check the comment because we don't just want to be talking without you engaging. Let us know. Please comment on YouTube. Put a comment if you can hear us. Let us know. I'm not sure if the volume is working on YouTube. Let us know what's happening with this.
Yeah, I can. I use my YouTube. I can still hear.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If
Right.
if you can still hear over there, that's fine.
Yeah.
So go ahead until I'm able to share this.
The screen.
Go ahead. When I'm able to share, I will
Yeah.
let you know.
Okay. So sorry, so can't remember exactly where I was. Oh yeah, so the Brent social worker, she was like, I see the children, they seem happy, they're very lovely, they're very good. I mean, I can't see any concerns. Where are these concerns that Durham put in place? That Durham was so concerned that they put a whole child protection plan. They put our children on a child protection register, meaning they're at risk of significant harm. I cannot see it, especially even we can have a discussion. It's no, we can't have a discussion about my youngest son because his the issue of his weight is not a safeguarding issue. It's not a safeguarding issue. But to bring in my elder two children and bring them in was is just it's so ridiculous and so vindictive because they have to be right. They have to enforce. They get money for what they're doing. If they don't put children on protection plans, if they don't put children in care, they don't get money. So by putting our children on protection plans, by enforcing themselves in people's lives, they are paid to do that. That is what. Otherwise, what's the point of social services if they didn't have to do this stuff? And yes, sometimes they need to. Sometimes there's a child out there being severely abused, and they need to be saved from their parents. Maybe there's sometimes that happens, but oftentimes I'm not. We're seeing that they're actually abusing families. They are the aggressors. They are the abusers. They're the ones who are neglectful in the way they approach families and the way they treat families. They are actually the perpetrators of wickedness and evil, and they're the ones hurting people more than any parent who's struggling or trying their best to look after their family. And so the Brent social worker, she was just like, we are not going to take your case. We aren't going to do it. Durham has to close this case because we will not take it because this is nonsense. We cannot see any concerns. We've seen your children. She spoke to my daughter alone because they were saying, Durham was saying we don't feed our children, even though they were weighed at the hospital and proven to be at a normal weight for their age. They were weighed at the hospital. The doctors didn't say any problems. They're like, oh, we don't feed the children. I mean, my daughter loves food, so there's no way you're going to go and there's no way you're going to lie for. She's not going to lie. She loves food. She loves the food I cook. We make this, we bake that. It's part of our learning. That's how part of how she's gotten so intelligent is through our learning and doing things like that. And so come the we came to the core group meeting, a core group meeting is where the professionals involved in the family, they all meet to discuss how the plan is progressing, how things are progressing. And so the last core group meeting we had before the review, it was the Brent Social Services, Durham Social Services, and us and the London doctor. And Brent Social Services was like to the Durham social worker, you need to close this case now. Like, close this case right now. We won't take it. And I was shaking when I was, have you heard someone, have you heard professionals speak with their, how they speak in their official way, but they spoke so strongly officially. I was just like,
Can I say
wow.
something there? Can I say something there?
Yeah.
That is why we are trying to create this awareness to families. There are still good social workers out there. We have people that cares, that understand families, that are ready
Yeah.
to pay that attention. But just because there's a kind of uh, sh staff shortages, workforce shortage, and what should I call it? That is why majority of people that are there now might not be there for families. They might not be there to look after the children. They might just be there for their money. And most
Yeah.
local authorities are engaging agency worker now to the extent that they don't even know how to progress it. We've seen a case, a local authority here, that the mom just gave birth, is a new mom. She need support. But rather than
Mm.
providing support, this social worker that is still a trainee, has not even qualified, she's still a student in one of local university here. She was asking advice from the legal team on how and what regulation they can use to remove the baby from the mom.
Wow.
And she was asking local charities, what can they do if they can get a sleeping bag for mom during winter? They will give mom a sleeping bag to sleep rough outside because she could not have housing. She could not have a house. She has an housing issue. But they are willing to take that baby away from her. To who? We've seen a mom that just come out now that adopted a child and saying she regretted after she had her own. How
Mm.
many children have been forcefully removed from their mom? How many
Mm.
children have been adopted without consent of the families? How many children
Mm.
are dying, are crying, are suffering in care system?
Yeah. Hello? Hello? Are you still there? Hello? Hello? Um, oh, I don't know if you can hear me. I think brother's out of the chat. So I think I'll continue my story and then wait for a brother to rejoin. Um, so yeah, so we had the social worker, we were at the core group meeting, and the social worker was just like, the social workers in Brent, they were so strong. I mean, they were like, close this case right now. And the Durham social worker was like, oh, well, I need to contact my manager. I can't make that decision myself. They were like, we won't be taking the case for this family. We might consider, we might consider a child in need, but we're not taking the child protection plan for this family. And hearing those words, I mean, was so it was such a blessing. And so the and at that meeting they asked to give a rating, that scale again, between 0 and 10. um Between 0 and 10. And so, in that meeting, the London people, do you know what they gave? The London doctor, she gave a 10. The London social worker gave a 10. And the Durham social worker, she was in the mood, she gave an 8 as well, because the London people were just like, this family are a wonderful family. Not that this family are not only, they're not they're not just a passable family. They're a good family. They're a happy family. Their children are happy. They provide for their children. Their needs are met. And so, we were just so happy. We were just so happy. And so, we were expecting the review to come around. And so the social worker shared with us the social worker shared her report. So this report was done by the oh sorry sorry so we received the report from the social worker in London, and my mouth was to the floor. I've never seen, I mean, the words she wrote in that report was as if it was the hand of God Himself that wrote those words. There was not a single negative thing in that report. Not, I mean, it was a glowing report, a glowing report. She said, my children are so happy. She said, my children are so adjusted. My children are so kind. They love their siblings. They love their parents. She said that Brent cannot see any reason for a safeguarding. They cannot see a reason why there was ever a safeguarding concern for our family. They said that Durham's actions were not justified. And to the complete difference in approach, the complete difference in in reports, basically, because Durham had written this report that said at risk of death. And about 10 weeks later, nothing had changed. In fact, we I left my home. I'm not in my home anymore at this moment. I left my home. I left all my things back in Durham, and I left there. And so we're in a bit less stable situation. But Brent has said that they cannot see a reason for this safeguarding concern. And so, we went to we went to the meeting. It was supposed to be on the 18th. They didn't show up. So the Durham social worker didn't show up to the meeting. And I suspect is because the evidence was so overwhelmingly against Durham, they didn't even want to show their face. And so we just recently had the meeting. We had it on the we had it we recently had the meeting. It was just last week, and they finally closed the protection case for our family. And we were so thankful, and we are so thankful, because I mean, there were times in this process that I felt like I cannot do this. This is too much. This is too much. This is way too much. How can this happen to my family? How can this happen to us? And to to just be on the other side is a blessing. And it's so important. It's so important that once a few things I've learned in this time is the importance of community, because without certain people, around me, it would have been extremely, it would have been difficult to do this. There's some people who have been pillars, prayer pillars, support. I mean, some people have cried with me, some people have sat there telling me it's gonna be okay, you know, and the importance of community. I have learned the importance of community, and we can't leave each other behind. We have to hold each other up. We have to be there for each other. I know it's not always easy. I know we don't always have what we believe to be the capability, but if even if it's just in prayer, even if it's just a phone call once a week to support our family and friends, we need to we need to keep up our families and our communities, because when things like this happen, and they are happening, and I don't want to wish it on anyone, but it does happen. When it does happen, people have someone to fall back on, someone to call when the days are, when it's so distressing, when it's so hard. Yeah. And so, Brent, I want to, Brent have been, yeah, they've been wonderful. And so, just 1 second.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. So please, if you know of any good social worker that has helped you, that has been of help to you, let's give them shout out. Let's praise them. Let's acknowledge their efforts, because there are good ones out there. But anyone that treated us badly, please, let's speak out as well. So if you know anybody from Durham, tag them with this. Tag them with this. Share on Twitter, share on LinkedIn, share on Facebook, post it everywhere. If you know the executive director of Children's Services, let them know. Let them know we need a better service. We need an improved service. There's a need for retraining of their staff, of their employee. This is a council tax money. This is a public fund. And we are
Yeah,
paying this tax, and we need to get a better service. There shouldn't be
yeah,
any prejudice, any unequal treatment. We need to say no to this. They are damaging our children. They are not caring, they are not protecting them. If there's no need for child protection, there shouldn't be. If there's no need for
exactly.
escalating matters, there should not be. Just imagine, how could a firm making 300 million pound profit? That is alarming. That is outrageous. That is ridiculous. Go ahead, madam. So we are going to be rounding up shortly now.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share, to speak about everything that's happened. It's it's been a journey. It's been a journey, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I wouldn't want anyone to go through this, and that's why conversations like this are so important, and that's why we need to speak about it more, because when they knocked on the door, I didn't know much about them at all. You get told, oh, social services, when you're young and stuff like that, but people don't realize the extent to which it can go bad with them. And and obviously I don't know the ins and outs of what they do or how they employ people, but some of these people are not good people. They don't want good things. They don't like, some of them don't like children. Some of them don't want your children to be happy. They don't want them to be well. Some of them, if you look at them the wrong way, if you speak to them the wrong way, that's enough for them to seek to absolutely destroy your life. But also on the other side, I've seen myself, those who are in it for good, those who are trying to do the right thing, those who want good things for families. And we big them up. I literally, I'm so thankful to Brent's social care, because even as you guys know, like I said, the story, I was not supposed to be in Brent, London. I was supposed to be at my mum's side. I was supposed to be where my mum is in Cambridge. I wasn't supposed to be in Brent, London, but somehow I was forced to there. And there I found people who were willing to hear and see things for what they are. And because it's so easy for professionals to be like, they said it must be true. But they looked at the papers themselves, they looked at everything themselves, they looked at it with unbiased eyes, and came to their own decision, came to their own conclusion, and realized and
More
decided
louder.
that this isn't right.
This need to be more louder.
Yeah. So
Our voices
yeah,
need
I'm
to be
just
more louder. We need to come by private provider of children's care. How could that be? One child cost local authority £63,000 a week. Imagine, a week. And there are some local authority that are even saying it costs them £83,000 a week. And you can see where these biggest care provider are making £300 profit. And if you look at this one now, more than 10,000 children are missing in care. Where are they? Is this trafficking or what? Where are these children? These are the children that you took away from their family on the basis of likely harm or future harm. But now they are being subjected to harm already. They are missing already. Where would they be? Where could they be? Who knows? Who knows where they are? So we want to say thank you to Brent Social Services, especially the social care, the social worker that dealt with this case, that handled this case. We want to say a big thank you on behalf of every one of us. We are appreciating you. We are appreciating you. We are saying thank you. And Durham Council, Durham, you need to call yourself to order. We've got another case already that you've already taken the children away, but you cannot locate it on your system. You have not updated your system. The social worker, they use forceful power to remove those children with the police power, protection power of 72 hours. Whereas they have families, they family life. So we are calling out on you. Please do something before we bring our demonstration to your doorstep. Do something before we bring our demonstration to your doorstep. So once again, I want to say thank you to the our person that come on board today. Please leave a comment to encourage this person. It's not easy to come on board here to share experience. This is a terrible experience that no one should ever pray for. No one should ever pray for. And in fact, in our community, there are people that are saying a lie. There are people that are saying, oh, it can never happen. It is happening. It is happening. Unnecessary distress causing to families. They are denying this baby breastfeeding, and you know what this could have. Psychological impact of a separation of children from their family. This is not going to be acceptable. This is not going to be allowed any longer. So we need to come together as a family. If you're on Twitter, I know the local authority are on Twitter, they are on all social media. Please copy this and tag them as much as possible, especially if you are aware of any family that are just planning to migrate. Let them know what they are coming to for, and signpost them for our parenting program so that they will be able to empower, enlightening on what to do, how to go about. Now it is time for voting. It is time for voting. Which local authority you want us to showcase next? Which local authority? Put your comment, leave your comment, and share it. Tag us, and let us know which local authority next. And please don't forget to watch those one we've done live show and those one that we uploaded so that you know which one we have covered already. If you have covered your local authority and you want us to bring them out again, let us know. Let us know. Let us know. If you want us to bring them again, let us know. I can see Nottingham here, Nottingham here. Please continue. Let us know which local authority next. Nottinghamshire, Nottingham, Kent, where do you want us to go? We are coming for you. Luton, we are coming back again. Middlesbrough has already succumbed. We have been able to reduce the number of child protection by 27% within a year. It's not easy. We know what it has cost all the Save Member team. We know how we have been attacked. We know how we have been silenced. We know how we have been pushed to the wall. We have been denied a lot. Our children have been subjected to this ill-treatment, all because we are speaking up. In fact, there's a local university as well that is also victimizing, all because of this cause. We are not going to back down. We are not going to back down. It's not time for us to silence. We will continue getting stronger. No matter attack, no matter the level of attack, we are not going to bow down. We are not going to bow down. So please don't forget, if you have experienced good social worker, please reach out to us. Let's shout out to them. Let's shout out. Let's appreciate them. In We gave some social worker fair trade flower. I think in 2020. I can't remember because they did some good job. There are still good ones. Not all the lawyers are good. Not all the lawyers are. If your lawyer misrepresents you as well, let us know. Please keep engaging, keep engaging. Don't forget to press the notification button so that next time we are bringing or next time we upload a new video, you should be able to know. Also, follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me? It's hang over there now. So from Durham, do you want to just round up in 5 minutes? And in that 5 minutes, tell us, do you ever think this can happen to you? Have you ever heard of Save the Woman before? Now, for those of people that have not heard of Save the Woman, what words do you want to give to them? And we close it for that. Don't forget, Save the Woman are not only supporting family alone, we are also educating and empower. We have various courses. If you go to our website, you see anyone you think you needed, please register for it and our team will reach out to you. Also, help us to subscribe and also share with your loved one. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on TikTok as well. We are on TikTok as well. Any Save Duma team, we want to say anything before we go? Durham, have you got 2 minutes to round up? Can you hear me? Apology. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is very educative. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Thank you. Yeah, it's a spirit lifting. Yeah, we are here to support each other. So if it's happening over there, it's not only happening to you, it is happening to everybody. It can happen to anybody. So let us continue to support each other. Yeah, probably it's a network problem. Yes. Our voices need to be more louder, and many of our people are making money out of removing our children from their home. We can see from the report, it's not even our word any longer. It is evidently supported. People are making profit out of this. If this is becoming difficult, probably we need to end it here. And I'm sorry the way we are ending it today. So sorry for that. It's a network issue from here. It's a network issue from here. The network is not good here. Network is not good. The network is not good. We don't know what's happening. The network is not good. We need to round up now. The network is not good. Apology for this. Please Don't forget to, yeah. Hello, Durham, are you still there? If not, I'm going to end this now. We say thank you to every one of you that have stayed with us, that have joined us. We look
Hey, still here.
to see. Apology for that network. I don't know what's happening. We've been struggling. So just to
Yeah.
round up minutes so that we know we round up well and we say
Yes.
bye bye to people. Like I've said,
Yes.
feel when you heard about Save the Woman and how did you feel before you heard about Save the Woman? Just to round up in 2 minutes. And what are you going to say to people that have not know Save the Woman and why they need to know Save the Woman? Thank you.
Okay, so before I knew Save the Woman, it was it felt like it felt like it was just overtaking. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what is processed, what you're supposed to do, how to act. And having someone like Save the Woman, having an advocate with you, it gives you it gives you more understanding firstly of the system, so you don't agree to something that you don't understand, they don't just speak to you and say words and you just accept it. When someone understands the system, it's like it's a support, it's an extra level of support that you need. And and I truly believe that everyone should know Save the Woman firstly and what they do, and also the most important thing is understand why Save the Woman have to exist, and why they exist is because of the system we're in. And once you start to see what people like Save the Woman do, and these organizations that support people in these situations, you start to realize how prevalent this is and how much we all need to be aware of this. And so the things that Save the Woman do are so essential for our people, Black people especially. You need to realize that we need people like Save the Woman and support them whichever way you can. And yeah, that's what I would say.